Fans, welcome to Sports Chat. We're here today at Jason's Video, located next to Papa John's, and of course we're here to talk about the weekend sports. Very slow week sports-wise on the high school level.
And the Cougars finally got their off weekend. Hopefully it helps them heal up for some injuries. 2 games left in the season. Friday night against Carnes. Senior night for Carnes, final game of the year. Carnes is really, really bad. Hopefully Campbell County can come out, get the passing attack going like they have earlier in the season. Get a big lead on Carnes, and Carnes will lay down and quit. You never want to let a bad team stick around.
Right, and that's the thing. Carnes and Campbell County traditionally rivals for that bottom spot in the district. And with this reversal of fortune, you don't want to let Carnes sneak up and kind of play a spoiler role.
And so far, under Matt and Justin Price, Campbell County's been very good at closing out teams that are bad and that are worse than them and winning games. In my mind, they've only lost 1 game that was really an upset since they've started coaching up there, and that was to Clinton a few years ago, and that was sort of one of those familiarity games. But otherwise, they've been pretty good at handling these situations. If a team is worse than Campbell County, they've come out, they've put it on pretty good. And after a really tough stretch of games, Campbell County's season appears to be dramatically going to ease up in the toughness department. But so you never want to slip up. It is senior night. It is the final home game. You want to go out and give your best effort. Carnes, pretty good team. Campbell County's had the fortune to play them because the schedule worked 2 years in a row at home. But, a couple of years ago, or right before that, in the first year, Carnes put a pretty good beating on Campbell County at Carnes.
I've been involved with some Carnes games that did not turn out good for the Cougars. And like I said, it was the history of Campbell County Carnes. Like, you can go back to the very first playoff year ever. Campbell County had to fight and struggle to beat Carnes.
Yeah.
Even though they'd done well against powerhouse teams that year.
It was one of those games, defensive struggles, what it turned into. It was a rough weather night. I believe that night was rain.
It was a 6-3 Cougar victory.
But Pruitt should have good weather this Friday night. I mean, everything should be set up for Campbell County. Powell is the week after Carnes. Powell's in complete disarray right now. They fired their coach again, 4th coach in 4 years. Apparently a bit of a player revolt happened. Powell may be down in the low 20s on players. They may come back before, the end of the year. I'm not sure, but apparently a bunch of seniors walked off. Powell's the only team that beat Carnes this year. Powell's only win is against Carnes this year, and otherwise Powell's just been terrible. So like I say, it's a 2-game stretch. Campbell County, by all rights, barring something strange happening after that Thursday night game, it is Thursday night on October the 30th against Powell. They should be 8-2, looking at hosting a playoff game, and
very hard to say against who at this point.
So no idea who. We'll see where they have to go after that, but that's a story for coming up. But right now, going into the last 2 to 4 weeks or so of the season, enjoy what football you have left, and keep in mind I've been talking some this week to Coach Matt Housley up on the hill. Going to get ready to start our Cougar basketball articles and previews.
They have a little bit of expanded coverage on Cougar basketball this year.
Cougars, Darren Gillenwater, probably going to be a big-time scorer for them this year like he has the last few years. Seemed like just the other day he was in the 8th grade, but he's already a senior.
Darren's already signed with Bryan College, which is Matt Housley's alma mater. Pretty good little team down in the Chattanooga area. Darren will be a just tremendous scorer for him. His shots tend to fall.
He's got a good 3-point stroke, shoots a pretty high percentage of free throws. But yeah, it's in that transition season right now. Basketball practice is really going in earnest every day. Football season is getting close to the end. I think football season, you figure with a good playoff run, we essentially have, probably a month of football left or so, right around in that range, assuming Campbell County, wins a playoff game or 2. And I think
they will this year.
So enjoy what football you have left. Right around the time that football is in the playoffs, basketball will be going, and of course that'll lead into Thanksgiving and the Thanksgiving tournaments.
And then it gets into really heated district play at that point.
But we'll see how the Cougars manage. Middle school basketball, it'll be starting up a little bit before the Cougars start up their basketball season. New coaches up in Jacksboro. Cody Parker stepped down, and Shouse took over, so we'll see how he can do. Cody had some pretty good success, especially in the postseason.
Oh, that's just Sweeney that took
Oh,
over.
it's probably Sweeney took over. That's right. Cody had good success. We'll see if he can continue on that, and we'll see if Matt King can continue to build the fallout towards the postseason.
You know, Kane, he was a good little ball player himself, and I have a feeling that he'll get LaFollette turned in the direction they need to be.
College front, Tennessee took it pretty hard against Mississippi. Not a big surprise, I guess. Mississippi is a top 5 team. It's just weird that Mississippi being a top 5 team and Mississippi State being as good as they are. It's just an awful world. Hopefully, you look at Mississippi, they're essentially a year ahead of the process, a little bit more than a year maybe than what Tennessee is with Butch Jones. You got to hope that Tennessee can turn it around in that regard. Tennessee's offense continues to struggle. The defense has gotten markedly better. I mean, it couldn't have been any worse than it was under Derek Dooley his final year. But
No.
the defense is good enough that we would be in games, even against these top 5 teams, if the offense could score it all.
Right, and it speaks a lot about the defense when Justin Wilcox, who was the defensive coordinator before, and just rolled into Southern Cal. And yes, Southern Cal alumni talking about how terrible he is.
Well, I mean, Wilcox was actually, I thought, a good defensive coordinator before he left. And it was the year that we hired the guy from Alabama. I can't remember his name right now. He's so terrible. He's the coach in Ford. It was just Derek Dooley. It was all Derek Dooley, and that's just all you can say. But the defense can keep this team in games if we can find anybody to play quarterback.
And with this being Alabama week, I know that it shouldn't be the focus, but with Lane Kiffin coming back to town, how ugly do you think the chance turn at this game?
It's not going to be pretty, but I don't know. People have, short memory, short term, or something like that. If I said it from day one, if you need Lane Kiffin to be mad at Alabama or hate Alabama, then you're doing it wrong, because you should hate Alabama regardless. And there should be plenty of vitriol towards them and dislike. It doesn't matter if Lane Kiffin's the coach there or not. It doesn't matter what Lane Kiffin does there. It's Alabama, and you should dislike it if you're a Tennessee fan anyway.
And another thing we got to look at, looking a little bit past Alabama, can we get 3 more wins and go to a bowl?
Real tough. Kentucky's markedly better this year. Vanderbilt's awful. We're going to beat them. It would take some miracle for them to, not lose. But I don't know if we can scratch out 6 wins or not. Missouri's up and down. Missouri gets beat 34-0 one week, blows out Florida the next week. Missouri will be a tough game to win. It's just a lot of tough games left. I just don't know. You don't know. You don't know if you want to say you can beat Kentucky because you beat them almost all the time anyway, other than the one, Dooley ended up we got them. But yes, no, it wouldn't surprise me if we only win 4 games this year. It wouldn't surprise me if we get to 6. But it's going to be tough. And the big thing is just the complete lack of offensive linemen. Derek Dooley's 2012 signing class. Usually in any signing class you've ever signed in college football, you sign 2 or 3 offensive linemen minimum. He signed none. He signed 0 offensive linemen in that class. And that's killing us right now. We have no depth, nothing because of his recruiting failures. I mean, I know that it's tough to blame the predecessor, but you have to. He put this program in a really, really, really bad spot.
He may go down as one of the worst college football coaches of all time. High school coaches hated him. Would not work with him at all.
No, he's certainly going to be the high bar to jump from being the worst coach in Tennessee history. Considering what we were and what we should be and how you should recruit,
and what we still are in some ways,
is he may be a worse coach than Wade Houston, and that's saying a lot if you remember Wade Houston. He was really, Billy was just he's killed the program to the extent that it's just taken a few years to get it back. I mean, we've said it before, you just have to be patient. Nobody wants to be. Everybody wants to win now. I want to win now. I look at it and wonder how in the world, during the heat of the moment, we could be this bad, and how we didn't have offensive linemen. But that's all on Dooley. That class of no linemen at all. It's killed depth. We would have 2 or 3 more guys, and we wouldn't have to be playing guys that are walk-ons or freshmen, or wouldn't have to be playing guys that were just 40 something days removed from a torn ACL. we would be, that would be 2 or 3, 4 players that we should have that would be redshirt sophomores or juniors this year. And that's just, like I said, it's a huge difference, and it's hurt us bad. Still, you got to overcome what you have to overcome. Mississippi wasn't in great shape when Freeze took over, but a couple of really good recruiting classes for them. And you see where they're at now.
Yeah, I know. I've said it multiple times. Never thought the Egg Bowl would ever be important to a national title picture.
We'll see if it actually stacks up and stays that way throughout the rest of October and into November, but it looks like it's going to be right now. It would take some pretty big upsets for either of those teams to lose before that game.
Well, fans, that should cover it for the week. We'll see you next week with some talk about Carnes, talk about Pal, and some more UT talk.